Hey, welcome to this week's Elevate Life Video Thinkletter. This one is for leaders standing at the edge of change. If you're in a high stakes transition, whether it's a career pivot, a company restructure, a leadership shift, or even life after elite competition, you know one thing for sure: the old way won't get you to where you need to go. The pressure is high, the expectations are even higher. And yet no one hands you a roadmap on what comes next. This Thinkletter is for you if you're an executive who feels that you have to figure everything out alone. You're a professional athlete stepping into your next chapter and wondering, what now? You're a high performer who spent your entire life helping others succeed, but now you have a new playbook for yourself. This week, we're going to amputate the patterns that hold leaders in transition back and elevate into a mindset that helps you move forward with clarity and confidence. We will break down why even the strongest leaders need coaching and how to get it, the biggest mistakes executives make in managing talent, and how adopting a coaching mindset can transform organizations. Overcommitting, why it's tearing down your bottom line, and how professional athletes can apply their relentless drive to business leadership or entrepreneurship. This is about you, your leadership, your momentum, and your ability to show up at your best when the stakes are at their highest. Because when you take care of your foundation, you build something that becomes unstoppable. So if you're ready to stop spinning, start leading, and take control of your transition, let's get into it. Here's the first section. You know, every time I ask my guests on my podcast, what do you have to amputate in order to elevate your success? The answers are always powerful. But Zara Northover's response, it hit a little different. I had a chance to interview the Jamaican Olympian on my podcast, Amputate to Elevate Success. You can find that at John Register Live. Zara had to amputate her desire to help everyone in order to truly elevate, not just in her ability to help others, but in her ability to help herself. Let's break that down, because this is not just about Zara. This is about every leader navigating a high stakes transition. Maybe it's a career pivot, it's a company merger, or it's a personal reinvention. And if you're constantly pouring into others without replenishing yourself, this is going to resonate with you. So phase one, what holds leaders back? The exact problem here is over-functioning at the expense of personal growth. Zara's instinct was to fix, to serve, to support, whether people asked for it or not. It became a defense mechanism, an automatic response. And if you're in leadership, you know what that looks like. You step in, you solve, you take on more, thinking it's just part of the job. Just today, I have a coach who is asking me to work with their team in basketball. But I have so much on my plate right now. I want to support, I really do, but I know I can't overcommit myself on this day. I'm looking for a way to do both, and I don't think it's going to happen. I have 3 speeches to focus on. That means not just writing them, but focusing on how I'm going to deliver them, as well as trainings for next week. And there is a speaker bureau who wants a video on me because they want to feature my product and services on their site this week. These are great areas of me to have, and these areas of focus. I'm not complaining. I just have to amputate, like Zara said, the mindset that I have to help everyone. So how about you? Have you ever had times when you had to take care of everyone but yourself? What was that like, and how did you overcome it? Phase 2, the concern and ramifications. Here's a concern. When you spend all your time helping others at the cost of yourself, you're ignoring your own gaps. You're not addressing the areas where you need the most support. This is how burnout creeps in. It's how resentment builds. It's how organizations lose strong leaders, not because they weren't capable, but because they just ran themselves dry. And let's talk cost. If left unchecked, this mindset doesn't just affect you, it affects your team. It affects decision-making. It affects the bottom line. Leaders who never pause to recharge start making reactive choices instead of strategic ones. They miss growth opportunities. They lose their ability to elevate. And when that happens, the entire organization suffers. So how do we fix this? Well, the RE3 Resilience Action Model, that's what I usually focus on because that's my model. Reckoning, acknowledge the reality. Just like Zara, we have to recognize when our instinct is to help is actually a defense mechanism. We have to ask, am I doing this because it's needed or because it's avoiding something in me? That's a hard truth, but leadership demands self-awareness. Number 2, revision, cast a new vision. It's not about abandoning service, it's about strategic service. Imagine a new vision where you can lead from a place of wholeness, where you set boundaries, where you invest in yourself as much as you invest in the others that you want to serve. That's when your impact actually multiplies. Last year, my team and I sat down in October and we mapped out the entire 2025 year on the breaks that we wanted to take, on the professional development that we wanted to attend. We all want to increase our effectiveness for the organization to serve our clients better. This prior planning helps us in the long run because it makes our priorities more focused. Number 3, renewal, commitment to the work. The renewal is the hardest part because it requires a new way of operating. It means making intentional choices, asking for help, saying no when necessary, and prioritizing self-leadership. You cannot elevate others if you're running on empty. What are some of the new ways that you can implement? It is hard because we have to do the work. We do not want to do the work in times of crisis, so we have to plan the work out when we are not in crisis mode. Look, this work is yours, but you're not alone. If this hit home for you, know this, you're not the only one. Leaders everywhere are navigating this, but here is the great news. Once you amputate what's holding you back, you open space for something greater. Here's the second section. What is the most critical skill executives face in high-stakes transition most often miss? Executives here, listen up, because this gap costs you top talent, innovation, and long-term success. Zara put it perfectly. Executives are missing the role of a coach or of coach. It's not just about hiring talent, it's about developing it, nurturing it, moving it into the right position, and that's the difference between a team that wins and a team that stagnates. Phase 1 is this. What's holding executives back? The exact problem, rigid roles, outdated leadership models. Too many organizations operate with a stay in your lane mindset. HR, stay in HR. Sales, stay in sales. Marketing stays in marketing. Even when there's clear talent to amputate what's not working and elevate someone into a role where they could truly shine, leaders hesitate. Why? Because making those shifts takes effort. It takes vision. It takes coaching. Phase 2, the concern and ramification. And here's the problem with hesitation. It's expensive. Retention suffers, employees get bored, feel unseen, and leave. Productivity stalls. People stay in roles they aren't thriving in. Innovation dies. Because instead of putting players in the best positions, organizations keep forcing them into predefined boxes. Let me put it this way. If a football coach recruited a wide receiver, but saw they had the speed, the agility, and the power to be a game-changing running back, would they ignore that? Absolutely not. No, they'd make the switch. They develop the talent because the goal is to win, not to stick to a plan that isn't working. That's why coaches make adjustments at halftime. And yet in corporate spaces, leaders hesitate to make these moves, and it's costing not just the talent, but income, revenue. So how do we fix this? The RE3 Resilience Action Model. Number 1, reckoning. Acknowledge the reality. Organizations aren't losing talent because employees don't have potential. They're losing talent because they refuse to develop it. I get it. We are all busy. We hire, then we let people figure it out on their own pathway. We need to help people grow along the way. We have to insert ourselves into that process. With my executive director, I ensure she is enrolled in the courses that she needs to execute on our business needs faster. so she can identify the gaps that I don't see because I'm focused on another area of the business that demands my attention. Executives need to recognize where their people are being underutilized, undervalued, and then do something about it. Number two, revision. Cast a new vision. Coaching isn't just about telling people what to do, it's about seeing their potential and placing them in roles that make them and their company stronger. What if instead of thinking, we hired them for this, leaders start asking, where could they be great? Talent transfers happen in a lot of sports. Sprinters or linebackers, might become bobsledders. And oh my gosh, it seems that everyone in the world now is playing pickleball these days. That shift in mindset changes everything. So number three, renewal, commitment to the work. Here's where leaders must take action. Start having real conversations with your employees. Identify the strengths outside their job descriptions. Create a culture of movement where employees know that they can grow into roles that fit them best. Because if you don't, they're going to take their talent somewhere else or start their own company, their own business. And that's what is your cost? A lost star, a weaker team, a company that could have been unstoppable, but wasn't. I had a company that just didn't know where to put me. I was working for them, and after reading the book this past year by Gino Wickman and Mark C. Winters, Traction and Rocket Fuel, I understood why. Oh my gosh, I would have had that book earlier. I am a visionary and should have been coupled with an integrator. We would have had a strong 1-2 punch. My offer to you is to take a few moments from your day, every single day this week, for a week, and think about how you can be the coach. Your best people aren't just looking for a paycheck, they're looking for purpose. They're looking for a leader who sees what's possible for them. So be that leader. Amputate the old model, elevate your team, and coach them to greatness. Because if you don't, somebody else will. Here's our final and third section. I want to focus on my professional athletes who are in career transition. Transition, it's a word we all hear, but few are truly prepared for. Some transitions are sudden, and injury happens like it did to me, and I become an amputee. Some transitions are over time, and we know they are coming eventually. These both have challenges. The first, an injury we might not be prepared for, and we can be filled with a lot of doubt and what ifs. What if this didn't happen? And the second transition can cause procrastination. Both have a point where there is a last day on the sports field or on the job. Zara didn't just ease into transition, she attacked it. Hurdlers attack. And if you're a professional athlete moving to your next chapter, whether it's business, leadership, entrepreneurship, or something entirely new, this is for you. Phase number one, what holds athletes in transition back? The problem is identity and structure. For years, your life has been meticulously planned. You knew when to train, when to eat, where to go, where to be, and what to focus on. Then suddenly the structure, it disappears. The sport that once defined you is no longer your full-time focus. And for many, that lack of clarity leads to hesitation. It leads to doubt or even inaction. And we love being around the hunt for excellence. All of us athletes do. We love the people and the minds, the community of people moving together for this one singular goal. So leaving it can be very tough. We see some of the world's greatest athletes who can't leave the playing field. They continue on for another season because they can't leave it. My coach, Remy Korchimny, always said to me in this way, John, everything's training. What I took from his words was this, that every single aspect of my training was relevant, it was needed, it was necessary, including my transition out of the sport. I needed to always create opportunities. Zara faced this too, but her approach, hustle, persistence, activation. She didn't sit back and wait for opportunities. She created them. Phase two, the concern and ramifications. Here's the concern. If you don't approach transition with intention, it will happen to you instead of because of you. And the cost? Missed opportunities because someone with less talent but more initiative took action first. Loss of momentum because without a structured plan, it's easy to just drift. Identity struggles, because if you're not an athlete anymore, who are you? This isn't just a personal crisis, it's a professional one. Organizations lose out on the unique discipline, the resilience, and the leadership skills that athletes bring because many don't know how to translate their competitive edge into the business world. So how do we fix this? Let's go back to the RE3 Resilience Action Model. Number one, the reckoning. We got to acknowledge it. Transition is inevitable. We're always in some type of transition. The question is, are you driving it or is it driving you? Zara knew she had to be persistent and prove herself, just like she did in sport. She applied 77 times for her first job. She chased down the CEO. She made them notice her. So what are you doing today to make yourself undeniable in your next chapter? Here is one piece of advice I give to athletes who are in the prime of their sport, whether Olympians or Paralympians, professional athletes. This is when they are being invited to all the sports dinners, they're being held up on pedestals. I tell them to begin making relationships with those executives and learning from them along the way. One easy way to do this is, if you are an athlete traveling internationally, is to reach out to the United States Embassy or your embassy of choice and to the country that you're visiting and share that you're going to be in the area and would like to support their mission in some type of way to further diplomacy. These relationships go a long way when you leave the field of play. Number two, revision. Cast a new vision. This isn't about leaving behind who you were, it's about expanding who you are. Athletes already have the tools: goal setting, discipline, the ability to handle pressure. It is time to leverage that competitive edge and apply it to business, leadership, and beyond. Think about it. If you train for years to perfect your craft, why wouldn't you approach your next career with the same strategic intensity? Begin looking at what you want to do after sport, long before you leave the sport. Align your passion with what might be able to make money, and then you can align those two together. Number three, renewal. Commit to the work. No one's handing you a playbook for this. You have to create it. Network relentlessly. And beyond networking, build relationships. I can't stress this one enough. Send a personal handwritten note every time you meet somebody. Show up like you already are on top, because you already are. You're on top of your game again and again. These are transferable skills. I was speaking to my client, Morgan Stanley, and I called an audible because the power went out on my laptop that they had me use. It wasn't my laptop, it was their laptop. That's a whole nother story. But I invited them in this space to work on a project at their tables, and the questions they came up with, I would answer them from my areas of expertise as a former acting CEO of the Amputee Coalition, my champion mindset hat, my combat veteran hat, or living with a physical disability hat in the world that I have created around that. There are all these hats I can wear. You can wear them too. We can showcase our expertise. Then just be so persistent that they have no choice but to say yes. Zara activated her Olympic mindset. She didn't settle. She didn't wait. She hustled her way forward, and that's exactly what every athlete in transition must do. Your greatest competition is your next opportunity. Athletes, listen up. You don't lose because your sport ends. You lose when you stop competing for your next level. So, amputate hesitation, elevate your persistence, attack your transition. Today, we focused on three powerful areas that every leader in high-stakes transition needs to master. Amputating the overcommitment mindset, because pouring into others without refueling yourself will leave you burned out and not built up. Elevating the role of coaching and executive leadership, because great leaders don't just hire talent, they develop it. And attacking the transition out of professional sports with the same relentlessness and the mindset that got you to the top in the first place. No matter where you are in your journey, corporate leader, executive in transition, or professional athlete, stepping into a new chapter, your next level requires strategy, resilience, and action. So here's what I invite you to do next. Watch the full podcast episode with Olympian Zara Northover on my YouTube channel, John Register Live, because this conversation goes deeper than we could cover here, and you will want to hear her full insights. Secondarily, be on the lookout for the February Executive Strategy Roundtable Upgrade. where we take these principles and apply them in real time in an hour session that we all get to be on. If you're serious about leading in high stakes transition, this is where you need to be. In fact, on this one, we have another one we're going to put on this for you that you can take advantage of. Take one action a day, whether it's setting a boundary and initiating a tough conversation or rethinking how you develop your team. Don't just consume this, implement it. Your success isn't about waiting for the right moment. It's about making the right moves. So let's go. Amputate what's holding you back, elevate your next level, and lead with unstoppable momentum. See you next time on Elevate Life. Go forth, inspire your world. Bye for now.